All right, here we go. Resumes, cover letters, and references. We won't go over everything. If I were, we'll be here for a while. Okay, so we're gonna go over general do's and don'ts on resume tips, certain tools you can use for your resume. So of course the internet and some resume templates, hands-on step-by-step resume creation, and then we'll touch on some cover letters and references. Okay, so resume reality. Typically, you have a 10 to 30-second window for someone to look at your resume and determine if they really want to go ahead and finish reading it and reading it to call you in for an interview. Okay? So, employers do not want to read fluff. They want to read facts when reading resumes. You have to watch your grammatical errors. They will be noticed. I have I have sat on interviewing committees. And when you sit on the interviewing committee, it starts from the time the resumes come in until the end of the interviews. And so I've literally sat through and received resumes and see people mark up resumes with red pen, and them poor things are bleeding because they're looking to see if you have a comma in the right place. Do you have a period where it's supposed to be? If you're writing a sentence, if you spelled something correctly. Okay? So grammatical errors are very important. Not having those. All right? There are many other applicants that are out here and they're also competing and interested in the job. Jesus. Okay. All right. So remember, your resume is a brochure promoting you. So think of it as a brochure, and you are the product, okay? So when we think about brochures, they're easy to read, right? They're pleasing to the eye because you sit there and you read it, okay? So as your first contact with the employer, it must create a good first impression. Used by employers as a screening tool, resumes are. They need to be highly relevant with qualifications and accomplishments. So when you're writing your resume, you need to look at the job description to make sure that it's relevant to the job that you're applying to, okay? And it shows the qualifications that that particular position and your resume have in common, okay? And then, of course, the accomplishments that you have done. So throughout college and maybe even like your senior year in high school, you all are young, okay? It should always be well organized, factual, clear, and like I've said before, eye-catching, easy to read, and truthful. Our goal is to get to the interview, right? So, what does the resume tell the employer? It's a type of opportunity that you seek, who you are, what you know, what you have done. It helps the employer get a sense of what you may be as a potential employee. Okay? All right. So, for that 30-second test, eye-catching resume, it needs to be one, no longer than 2 pages in length, easy fonts, the right amount of white spacing, okay? You need to use bullet points or short paragraphs. Start sentences with vivid action verbs, okay? Use descriptive adjectives and accomplishment statements. Begin with the most important material first. Quantify your experience. Avoid personal pronouns. So your resume should not have I's in them, okay? when we say quantify your experience, if you were a cashier, typically within a cashier's role, you started your till with a certain amount, you end with a certain amount, and in between that, you learned about how much money you made that particular shift, right? So you need to quantify that. If you work the gate at a theme park, part of working the gate at a theme park is knowing how many people came through the door. So how many people did you serve in that day? Things like that. So we want to know the numbers, all right? And like I said before, looking at that job description, and putting what's most important that parallels on your resume with that job. Make sure it's up at the top at each job that you've had, so people can see that first. All right, typically that's what you want to do. All right, okay. Y'all want to? Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So your resume needs to be neat and error-free. So again, proofread for grammar, punctuation, spelling. If you're not good at any of that, because some people are just not strong in it, that's okay. Have someone else to look at it. Bring it by the Career Center, okay? But you need to be consistent in your formatting, in similar treatment. So it needs to have this information, numbers and dates. The margins need to be uniformed. Align text and dates. Okay? Again, grammatically parallel, so everything should just line up together. All right? You need to make sure you have the business names and titles. Okay? Use a quality printer and a neutral bond paper. So, resume paper is thicker than regular paper. Okay? So it's dense. So you need resume paper. If you don't have resume paper and you need it, especially if you're still, then sometimes we still have to send resumes in old school through the mail. Or if the employer is coming to campus and you're coming in, or you should always bring copies of your resume during the interview. So that's good to have that quality paper. And printer. Make sure you're not running out of ink. Okay? So, and coordinate the color of paper with your resume, with your cover letter and envelopes. You can get all this stuff. You can go to Walmart and get resume paper. Okay? So, you don't have to just go to like Kinko's or, I keep forgetting about this mic. You don't have to just go to Kinko's or, Office Depot or whatever. You can go to Walmart. You go to Walgreens, and you can find resume paper. All right? But we have resume paper in the Career Center. Okay? Okay. So some categories that employers expect to see on a resume. They expect to see contact information. And now with the contact information, we'll touch on that. A career objective is optional, all right? But you need to have one or the other for these two, or you can have both. A career objective or qualification summary, okay? Special competencies and skills. So you can have both, or you can have one or the other, all right? Now, if you're a student that's participating in getting your Microsoft IT certifications, I would definitely put qualification summary on my resume, and you can put that down. All right? Yes, ma'am.
How do we go about getting certified? Are you the career cert?
Yep. You have to come to the office, and we'll go over that. All right. So, okay. Relevant paid and unpaid work experience. So that needs to be on a resume. other work experience, community service. If you're part of professional affiliations, so that could be, what's the new business? Yeah. So like if you're part of Phi Beta Lambda, you can definitely put that down. If you're part of a Greek letter organization, you can put that down. Okay? So, interests and hobbies, that's optional. And then you have references and portfolio, but references is on a totally different sheet. Okay? All right. So typically, this is how your standard resume should look. Okay? It should include your full name with basic information. All right? So, if you are going to hand the resume in, you need to have your name, your street, your address, city, state, zip, phone number, and an email. Now, if you're emailing the resume, because we do a lot of stuff online, you just need to have your name and your email address. Okay? Because if you're doing it online, a lot of times we're uploading it, so it already has, you're already inputting your address and your phone number. But if you are not, then your resume needs to have all of that at the top. Okay? So then, after that, you have your objective, if you choose to have one. And then after the objective, you have your summary, the qualification summary, right? And you see how it is here. You have bullet points, and it kind of describes. So it says write 3 or 4 bullet point statements that summarize why you would be good at your job. Objective. Each statement should be no longer than 2 lines. Okay? Your statement should be relevant, should highlight your relevant strengths, such as experience, skills, community service, and personality traits. Prioritize the statements in this section so it can be most relevant ones come first. All right? And then after that, that's when we get into the meat of our resume. We talk about our professional experience. Okay? The most recent employment is first. Okay? The most recent employment is first. So, if you started working at 15, that does not need to be the first job. If you're working right now in the cashier's office, that needs to be the first one. Okay? And I'm saying that for a reason because I've seen many resumes flipped. All right? So, once you're done doing your professional experience, then you can put education. Now, this objective is a little dated because we can now put our education first. Okay? But you can still do either or. It's acceptable. All right? And then at the end, community service. Okay. What are the reasons that your resume could get screened out? Okay? Reasons that resumes get screened out. Categories are missing, an unclear objective, wrong job target, so you're applying for something that totally doesn't relate to what's on your resume. Okay? Generic and unfocused. It lacks relevant experience, education. It explains job descriptions, not accomplishments. Hard to understand, so that's why you have to reread or have someone else read it to make sure, because a lot of times once we've been working on something and kind of reading it over and over again, we may skip some words and stuff. Okay? Irrelevant information, time gaps. If it sounds too boastful or it seems dishonest. If it sounds like it's slick or gimmicky. Poor physical layout. If it's too long or too short. If it's wordy and if it has misspellings and poor grammar. If it has too lengthy phrases and sentences and has paragraphs and poorly reproduced. So that means the ink was running out, all kind of stuff. All right. All right. So avoid in your layout too many fonts, fancy fonts, wordiness, and long paragraphs. I know you want to stand out to the employer, so I've seen all kind of stuff. Right? I get it. You want to stand out, but please don't. Too much personal information. There should not be any abbreviations except for states. So like if you're from, Detroit, and in the summertime you go back home and you've worked, you put Detroit, and the only abbreviation should be Michigan. MI. That's it. Okay? So, and I know we get caught up in abbreviations, because we do it, especially now we do it so much in text. But on your resume, you cannot. Okay? Full justification option for a text, or too many uppercase letters, or too much underlining or italics. Like I said, your resume needs to be easy to the eye, because remember, you only have 10 to 30 seconds. Okay? Empty words. All right? So, various duties included. Emphasizing what does not exist. In other words, you need to be truthful. Please don't lie on your resume, because people do fact check. Okay? They really do. You might have started the job, but if it's something wrong on that on your resume, it can go out and you can lose your job. Okay. So here are some sample headings that you can use on your resume that are not too bold. So you see it says website or URL or IM address. So if you have a LinkedIn, that's where you put it. Okay? All right. Okay. When we talk about a career objective, a resume without a job target is like a book without a title. Simple. So your objective needs to, it's the beginning of your resume or in your cover letter. They should match. All right? It should target the specific job that you're trying to gain. So you want to keep away from it being general. So like if you're going to a job fair, remember I said the career objective is optional. So if you're going to go to a job fair and you're going to have resumes, you're going to hand them out, then take it out and just have that qualification summary there and hand it out that way. Okay? So because employers, they want to feel special. So when you talk about a objective or in your cover letter, you need to tailor it just to that employer, that job title. All right? Keep it concise. Avoid unnecessary words. Avoid the all-purpose objective. I just talked about that. Okay? So here are some samples of objectives. If you want to take a picture with your phone, because I'm going to. Everybody got it? Okay. All right. Summary qualifications may include only use if you have significant experience, a functional specialty or a title, okay? So again, that's like the certification, licensures, years of experience in that particular field. If you can make an overall picture of all your qualifications. You can list some of your accomplishments and recognition if it pertains to work experience, okay? Key talents, special acknowledgments. If you know a second language, you can put that down. And what other technical skills or special skills that you may have. All right. So here's a sample of what qualification summary will look like. Okay, under education, it just takes a minute. List education related to pieces of information that the employer might want to see. So, if you have gone to school your entire life and you have no work experience, right? Then under this piece, you can list some of the classes that you have taken while in school that pertains to the job that you're applying to. Okay? Or if you're applying to an internship and you want to let them know that these are some of the classes that I've taken for this internship. Okay? What are your selling points? You know, so you have to put lane on there, anticipated graduation date, and then your major. And like the selling point would be, if your GPA is nice and high, over a 3.0, you definitely want to put that on there. Okay? All right. So typically, this is how you need your education section to look on your resume. So it's the name of institution, the location, the degree that you're working on or the degree that you are obtaining, anticipated graduation month and year. Now, and then under that, your major, and if you have a minor, and then also if you have any certifications, licensures. So like I know our physical education students, a lot of them get certified in CPR, and some of them also get certified as personal trainers. So that's where you'll put that, okay? Okay, and this is how it should look. These are a couple of ways how it can look on your resume. Okay, so when we talk about the experience, now when I first started and I was setting up, I said there's many different resume types, right? But the ones we're going to focus on today is called reverse chronological versus a functional resume, okay? And then you can choose which one is most appropriate, okay? Now I might get a little tongue-tied because after a while I get to talking about these two. I'm just letting you know. So a reverse chronological resume, it lists all your experience from the most recent to the least. It allows the reader to see logical progression of your career. It's clear and concise, and it's easy to read. Okay. Advantages to the chronological resume. It shows a successful career record. It demonstrates the skills that you have gained and provides work history to prove it. It is organized, it's clear, and it's logical. Okay? Some disadvantages. It requires an established work history. Don't worry about you all. You can still use it. You're college students. Employers can tell the difference between a college student and someone who has not have a stable work history, okay? Okay, so those who are choosing and changing careers, it may not clearly demonstrate the skills that are gained by a previous employment. Okay, reverse chronological experience. This is how you should put it on your resume. So this is how it should look. The job title, the company name, the city and state of employment, the date. So it's only the month and the year, and then you start with the job description. What skills? Remember, we need to quantify in our job description. Use the skills that you've used and gained, okay? Any success that you've done. In being a cashier, you can be like the employee of the month or whatever incentives that organization may have. Okay. Reverse chronological example. This is how it should look once you put it on the piece of paper. Okay. All right. Reverse chronological multiple experience sections. All right. Do not be afraid to use several different experience sections. So you can put down related experience, leadership experience, volunteer experience, international if you've traveled out of the country, community involvement, and other work experience. Remember, the experience does not equal paid. So there's many things around here, and I'm looking at everybody in this room. You all are very active, a lot of you. I've seen you in different places around campus doing different stuff. So you can, if it's work related and work experience, you can put that on your resume. Okay? Okay, so evidence of advancement. Not just job descriptions, but rather skills and contributions. So advancement, bonuses, performance evaluations, recognition, awards, and accomplishments. All right? So emphasize on achievements with concrete, measurable examples. Okay? So one could be, and let's talk about academic, in a class that you have struggled in, right? And then at the end, you performed better and you became a better student, correct? And if the professor had some way giving you an advancement and recognized you for that, you can talk about that. You can put that in your resume. It's all on how you word it and put it in there, okay? So you can use quotations and testimonials to demonstrate your accomplishments. All right, non-relevant experience. You can include it, non-related job and volunteer work. So it can help create a better picture of you. Remember, your resume is a brochure of you. But just don't go into detail. You can talk about how you volunteered, like, you know, you donated with the blood drive, but you don't have to tell what you did. You don't have to go into description. Okay? So, concentrate on skills you developed that can relate to your career. All right? So, include promotions, management, supervisory positions, customer service. So, those of you that work in housing as RAs, you all do this all the time. Valuable work experience. Okay? Omit jobs that are brief. So typically, if you've worked a job less than like 3 months, you don't have to put that on there. You agree with me? Mm-hmm. I think she agreed with me. Okay. A word about bullet points. First of all, please use a bullet point. Bullet points should describe more than just your duties. Okay? Include what the impact or contribution in your actions had. Turn duties into jobs. So, either I don't see bullet points and you need to put them on there, or I do see bullet points and they're real short. Okay? I'll see a bullet point and it'll say cashier. Or it'll say help clean up. You need to be descriptive. Tell me a little something about the job past the bullet point. Okay. So you can say Miss Tate Miss Tailor. I gotta get used to my own name. I don't really know how to write a bullet point. Think of simple English. Who, what, when, where. So who did the job? Who did your job help? The company, clients, or customers? Okay. What happened when the results of the job? Did you do research? What was that information published? If you had to do a report, what was done with the information? When? When did this happen? Did it daily, weekly, monthly? You need to talk about how often you did something. It is easy to show productivity in your job. Okay, the where. Where did the duties occur? Did you have to travel for a job? Were you responsible for interacting with people outside of your organization? And when we talk about where, I like to give this example. It's actually of the job that I had right before I started working at Lane. I used to travel around the state of Arkansas. I had a territory, right? And so I had a territory of southeast Arkansas. And so I traveled up to over 700 miles a week going around to my different locations. And so in my resume, when I talked about my job duties, that was one of the things I put, that I had a territory and I traveled over 700 miles weekly. And who did I interact with? With the different students in adult education. Okay? So, why and how? Why did you do this? How did your job duties help or add to the organization's or ability to function? Well, I assisted adults working on their GEDs, helped them transition from receiving their GED into help finding more and better stable work, and help them to continue their education. So I would help them enroll in college. Okay? Okay, how to write bullet points continued. One of the best things you can do with your bullet points is to quantify. We keep hearing that word, right? So adding numbers, where it be money numbers of times that you did, or the amount of number of times that you did something, or how much of something that you accomplished. This shows productivity. Excuse me, thank you. Productivity is always transferable. So we're talking about transferable skills. And transferable skills go to any job or career. Okay? So here's a tip. If you get stumped on how to write a bullet point, break it down into the basic duties and then use power words or action verbs. Okay? And if you need some action verbs, if you say, Miss Taylor, I don't know many action verbs, we have a list. I have a list in the Career Center, and I'll be happy to share it with you. Okay, so examples of bullet points. This is what I see all the time, right here. Kept inventory, called prospective customers, coordinated volunteers. But it should really look like the other side. Kept daily inventory over 1,000 classifieds of medical supplies. Doesn't that sound much better than just kept inventory? I think so. So, build client base from 0 to 70 within 2 months by effective cold calling techniques. So when I say descriptive, so if you come to me and I tell you I need you to be more descriptive, this is what I mean. All right? Okay. You need to tailor your resume. A tailored resume shines light on the qualifications to a particular employer. Remember I told you employers are sensitive. They want you to think that you're just thinking about them. This is the only job that you want. So you need to tailor your resume to that particular company and that particular position. All right? And then lead with the most relevant information first. Okay. To do this, you need to ask yourself these questions. What skills and qualifications is that employer seeking? If I was only able to illustrate 3 to 5 of my qualifications, which one would I choose? And of my experience, which would the employer would want to see the most? Okay? These are the questions you need to ask yourself. when you think about tailoring your resume. All right? Generate a master resume. It includes everything with bullet points. It includes all your volunteer, all your leadership, all your part-time stuff. And you do that because, remember, you're going to tailor all your rest of your resumes, right? So you can just cut, copy, paste. And so your life can be a whole lot easier. All right. Prioritize your information, of course. Identify the skills and qualifications employers are seeking and the most relevant. I keep saying some of the same words over and over, right? Okay. Remember, use descriptive headings such as leadership experience, laboratory experience, honors, presentation. So whatever your major is, you need to talk that up. Use the language of the industry. If you're going to use abbreviations, use the ones that's in the industry that people know. Okay? If you don't know it, spell it out. All right? Organize related information together. Okay. So, when we do research for our resume, Google is our friend. Okay? Google a job description and put in the title. So, easy. You can, if it's human resource analyst, you can literally put in job description for human resource analyst and it'll pop up, okay? You can use Google ONET. ONET is ONET is a tool that you can use, onetcenter.org, and it's with the Department of Labor, okay? And so they have job descriptions for all kinds of stuff, all right? Or you can use Indeed. Indeed.com is a good one too. They have a lot of job descriptions there, all right? So if you're trying to work on your resume and there are jobs that you've had and you want to, and remember we're tailoring our resume and being more descriptive. This is all information to help you with the wordage that you need. Please do not copy paste, do not plagiarize. Take it, look at it, and make it your own. Okay, this is supposed to be a tool to help you. Okay. Now, you have a dynamic resume. It's going to be easy to read. You got bullet points with your job descriptions and your power verbs, okay? You have perfect spelling, punctuation, grammar. Be sure to have your career coach. I am a certified career coach, and so is Ms. Rutherford. So that's why we're your career center. All right, or if you don't choose to go with us, choose someone that is very strong in that category. So like an English professor, go to the writing lab, okay? All right, it will be formatted. You can skim it easily. You use industry nouns and verbs and jargon, so it's all good. You used information that is relevant to the job that you're applying for. Okay, so this is your resume. It's good. It's perfect. You worked hard on it. All right? Okay. So that's the resume part. Do you want me to touch on references?
References can be like any teacher, right?
It can be professors, like myself, Ms. Rutherford, any administrative, as long as it's not relatives. No relatives. Okay. But I will say this, separate page, it should match your resume, so you should have another heading, but then it will look like this. The general rule, you need to have at least 3 references. And people, when you're applying to a job, you might you know, over the years, you can say, oh, I could use Miss Taylor. She's fine. I could put her down as my reference. Well, if you're looking for a job, I need you to pick up the phone and give me a call, because you don't want your reference. They're your reference, and they're going to always give you a glowing review. But if you're sideblinded, we weren't expecting that phone call, we're like, oh, okay. And then employers can feel that hesitation. But if you let people know, then they'll be ready. All right? Okay, so remember, proofread, proofread, proofread. Remember to write your own resume. Make sure it speaks to the job that you're applying for. Always easy to read, well organized, honest, do not lie. Okay? Dynamic word choices, flawless, and update frequently. I say update when you start working. You need to update your resume at least, well, I mean, you update it now, but every 6 months, because things get added to your work experience. You'll start having more duties, or you'll start doing new things. So you need to add that.